how important is money when it comes to being able to see transformation happen in culture and society or all that?
You know what the old folks used to say: follow the golden rule. Whoever has the gold makes the rules.
Yeah.
I mean, you practicality wise. Well, I could tell you about my life. At 53 years old, I don't know if I'm the brightest in the room. Not an idiot by any means, John. But the farther I've gone, I've seen the openings of more and more doors and more opportunities. So I mean, just practically and personally, I can tell you that the more money you make, the more impact you have the opportunity to have. You have to have a mindset for impact. Obviously, that has to be something that you want or that you need or that you desire to be an outcome for you. But to me, what I've seen over the past 30 years is whoever has the ability to move the Bible says something like this: the heart of the king is in the hand of the Lord, and he moves it wherever he wills. It's kind of what money does. Money has the ability, if someone knows that you can get something accomplished, then they have more of an inclination to bring you something. Does that make sense what I said then? So money brings that thing to the table. It brings you, the more money you have, the more ability you have and options you have to get something accomplished. So the more opportunities come to you. So for me, when I'm just living life, I'm not special by any means, but the farther I've gone and the more opportunities have unveiled themselves to me because people start to recognize, well, he actually can get something accomplished. And that's resources. You know, that's bringing resources to impact something, right? We can move this neighborhood.
Right.
I can turn the waters of this community. I can shift this culture, right? I've seen it in practicality, John. I've seen it where we buy an apartment complex in a, let's call it a C community. It's not a rundown community, but it's a C community. And I have bought a complex like that, 20, 30, 40 units. So we owned 20 to 30% of the what I would call a space of a community or a neighborhood. And in a 24-month term, I've seen the community turn because, number one, we put value there, right?
Yeah.
We made it nicer. Everybody saw the physical transformation. And in order to make that physical transformation, you have to have resources. We've got to have money to make that transformation occur. But then there's something that happens in an intangible, spiritual way that you see, but you don't know what's happening. So what I've seen over the years is when I bring resources into whatever the case may be, this is a community I'm talking about, when I bring resources into that community and I can control who comes into that community, then the nicer we make that community, the higher it raises itself. In other words, everything around starts to respond because of what we're bringing to the table. I think Matthew 13:33, Jesus said this: the reign of God is like leaven that someone took and hid inside the loaf until the whole thing was leavened. That's what that is. But you have to have resources. So even if you bought something, if you spent all of your resources to buy a 30-unit complex and it was 20% or 10% of a cultured community, if you don't have the resources to raise the bar, right? When I teach success and wealth, the first principle of it is you have to raise your floor. You don't raise your ceiling, you raise your floor. So if you don't have the resources to come in and raise the floor, raise the bar, however you want to say it, you raise the floor to go, if you're going to live in our neck of the woods, you got to be this kind of person. You can't be this kind of person anymore. You got to be this kind of person because we've raised the floor over here. And to me, that's how transformation occurs. Transformation on any level, personal, communal, national, it occurs by raising the floor. If a man or a woman comes to me and says, I want to make more money, or no, let's not do that. I want to be healthier. I want to lose weight and look better. Well, you have to raise the floor. You have to raise the floor on what you eat, how you eat, when you eat, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's not raising your ceiling of what you could become. It's raising the floor of what you refuse to be.
Oh, wow.
That's where real transformation starts. When you raise your floor and go, I refuse to be this any longer, and you raise that floor, you raise what I would call the standard. You raise the standard of your life. I think Tony Robbins said something like that. He said, you will never live to what you want to be, but you will always live to the standard that you hold. In other words, my faith will project itself forward, but it will always ride on the standard that I set. And that's what transformation to me is. And so I transform a person's life, a community, an individual, whatever the case may be. You transform them by raising the floor. And when you raise the standard of the floor and you go, we refuse to be anything less than this. Mm-hmm. This is as far down as we possibly can go. Then everything around begins to respond. And the only way that I can do that on a macro level, I can do it for me regardless, but on a macro level, the only way I can do that is to have resources to back the vision or the dream or the perpetuation of faith or whatever you want to call that. Yeah. I have to have resources to go in there to raise the floor, raise the standard of anything. That's where real transformation takes place.
Well, it sounds a lot, obviously it's investing because you're going to put the cash outlay or the wealth or whatever to transform that neighborhood, and that's going to go in before the neighborhood responds. Mm-hmm. So you've got to have the ability to make the investment. And wait for it to come back.
Well, we did this on another podcast, right? Yeah. It's seed, time, and then harvest. Yeah. Right? First it's seed, and then there's time there, and then you get the harvest later. That's like that with anything, though. If a man or a woman comes to me and they want to change their health, I go, okay, well, first thing we do is raise the floor. We got to raise the standard in your life, and then we got to have time. Time is
you have to go to the gym a few times.
Well, time is the vehicle, right? Time is the vehicle where your seed goes from a seed to a harvest, and it's just time, right? And that's everything. So if we go into a community and we go, or we don't go into a community, we go buy this tract of land with trees on it, and we envision a community. And in the envisioning of that community, we then begin to plant resources and we begin to do things and et cetera. So there's this time equation that happens. And if you're not okay with the time equation, you're going to drown before transformation occurs, right? So you got to be okay with that personally, family-wide, culture-wide, community-wide, whatever the case may be. You have to be okay with the time equation. And a lot of us, charismatic, whatever they call us nowadays, I don't really know what we would be deemed as, but a lot of us get lost in that time frame of, I planted my seed, how long does this take? Yeah. And the real answer to everybody, right, because that's always the first question in transformation. Mm-hmm. And no matter how small or how grand, right? It's always the first. Hey, Darren, man, how long is it going to take me? Yeah. And the answer is always the same: as long as it takes, right? Because I don't know.
It's never the answer that you want to hear.
Well, nobody wants to hear that, right? Hey, how long is it going to take me to lose 20 pounds? As long as it takes, right? Because there's things we got to do. Yeah. Your body has to respond. You have to do the actual doing, right? And we don't know where the mechanics of your metabolism is. There's a lot of things involved. And then when you go to a community like this and you go, how long does it take to transform the community? As long as it takes. I mean, that's the problem that we get trapped in, right? But listen now, here's the hook. If you'll be okay starting where you are, and whatever transformation that is. Hey, we just had a conversation with a pastor today, right? And we go through a Zoom, and he this is where I'm at, and this is where I want to be. And I go, well, we can get you there. I can't get you there in the morning, but I can get you there. If you'll trust this process, I'll get you there. And if you're okay with that transformation of time, right? I got to plant my seed. I got to wait the time, and then I'm going to get a harvest on the other side. And then you become this transformative person. So that when I do get my harvest, I start another process. I don't eat all my harvest. I plant some of my harvest. And then that process begins. That's when you begin to expand your transformative grace or whatever you call that thing, that's when that thing begins to transcend you.
Yeah.
Right? That's when you begin to get this thing in a broad way. So I think if I was at church and we were talking about this, I would say that most of us think we have hope for transformation. We don't really have plan for transformation. We don't have bedrock plan for transformation. We have charismatic hope. Because I don't even want to call it faith, because you and I are faithers, so I don't really want to call that faith. We have charismatic hope that we're going to make transformation occur without the practicality of how does that actually work. So for me, the guy that has the gold makes the rules is if you'll take one space at a time. If I take my space well and I transform it, you take your space well and transform it, and we overlap spaces. The bigger you get, the bigger I get. Sooner or later, we begin to overlap spaces, and communities change. And when communities change, cities change. And when cities change, states change and nations change, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that's how I see the transformation process occurring. One man plants, another man waters, but it's God that gives the increase. The stuff that I can't control, I don't try to control, nor should we try to control. I think we just have to be okay with, I'm a seed planter, I'm a time waiter, and I'm a harvester, and then we're going to rinse and repeat that one more time. That, to me, is how transformation happens, and I think that's what resources are made for at the end of the day. I think our resources are made to implement those transformations so that people then, because the more I do this in communities, the more I do this, the more opportunities I get to do this in. And that's the beauty of seed time and then harvest, right? Let's start again. I took half my harvest and planted seed, and then I started to rinse and repeat. That's the beauty of that, right?
Yeah. Taking it a little bit different direction for a second, because a lot of people that grew up in the church world, we talk a lot to people that have come from that background. There really wasn't permission to have money, like there's in a lot of the church, not necessarily more recently that I've seen, but it was almost like poverty is next to godliness. And so you get any money, then it's going to corrupt your soul and everything. So then it seems like people that really want to drive the needle, that are believers or coming from that genre or sphere of life, don't have the power then to be at the table to make the decisions or to influence how a community goes.
It's just a bad mindset at the end of the day. It's a bad philosophical mindset. Money is innocent. I teach this all over the country. Money is innocent. It has absolutely zero power in and of itself. Money is like water. Whatever container you put it in, that's the shape that it takes. So money doesn't corrupt or make righteous or purify. It does neither one. Money does neither corrupt nor purify. It just becomes what you are. And the more of it you have, the more you multiply who you were before it came. So in that, religiously, philosophically, theologically, however you want to cut this cheese, money is not the culprit. It's what the man or the woman is inside that is the culprit of their outcome. So it's the philosophy of a man that determines the direction. I like to say the philosophy that a man or woman holds is the rudder to the ship. The wind blows on us all, but it's the set of the sails that determines the direction that we shall go. So for me, that's a philosophical scenario, and I'm a preacher, been for 30 plus years. You are as well. So we've seen both sides of the equation. I think whether you are a faither or a non-religious person, doesn't matter to me. Money is going to take the shape of the container that you already are. So to debunk that is a high hill to climb. It's not what I'm here to do. But for those that would say, I love Jesus, I'm a faither, how do I get more? Click the button, because I'm going to help you get there. Because that's a philosophical mindset that says money corrupts. Money doesn't corrupt. The container that you are, that money will take the shape of who you are. I'm a transformer, right? I'm a regenerator. I'm a renovator type person. So you give me, the more money you give me, the more I'm going to go do transformation and renovations. That's what I am. I'm going to take a tract of trees and make a neighborhood out of it. That's who I am as a person. So that money that comes to me takes on the shape of the person that I am, right? I'm going to help as many people as I can. We're going to do podcasts. We're going to do all kinds of different things. So that's a philosophical thing. It's not even a theological thing. It's more philosophical, right?
Yeah.
It's the mindset that we've taken on because, if you want to talk to me about Bible, we can. I'm good with that. I've studied a little bit for 30 years in that subject, but God doesn't matter to God if you got $1 billion or $2. He loves you the same. It matters to the planet that you live on because the planet responds to you differently. So if you want to have transformative power, transformative influence, then you need to expand as broadly as you can for him. And it's for Christ, not opposed to Christ. And that's, again, it's a philosophical mindset. It's my expansion is for God, not in opposed to God. So it doesn't matter how much I actually have or how much I get in the future. Everything, like Paul said, it's not me that lives, it's the Christ that lives in me. And when you have that philosophy, then your transformative power can expand exponentially, really, John. And that to me is what it is. And so if you want that, and you've had the prior, and you want to be a transformative person, I almost said transformer, but if you want to be a transformative person, then click the link, because I want to help you build more success and build wealth that actually outlives you. That's what I want to do. So click that link, join, become a member, follow us. We got more for you.